My name is Thoennessen. I'm the founder and CEO of RiskRevu, and welcome to the webinar today. Today, I'm going to do a couple things. We're going to do a quick overview of the platform so you can see some of the basics. And then I'm going to jump into the topic for today, which is how we can use some of the new forms that we've developed to help make our replacement cost estimates more accurate. So let me share my screen so you can see the demo. Okay, so now we are looking at the dashboard for RiskRevu. So when a user signs in for the first time to RiskRevu, this is the dashboard that they will see. And so I'll take you through a quick tour of the dashboard so you can see the different areas and the different functionality. All right, so first thing we would do as a new user is go and set up the profile, the public profile. And you do that by hitting the My Account tab and the Edit Profile button. Here, you will be able to enter your name, upload a headshot, a logo, some basic contact information, a short bio, and then you'll select the forms that you want to show up on your public profile. So we have three types of forms. They are risk evaluations, which we're looking at right now, new policy forms, and service forms. The risk evaluation forms help us as agents get updated information from our clients about existing risks, homes, boats, cars, flood, businesses, so on and so forth. We have annual renewal questionnaires for business and personal, for umbrellas, and different things of that nature. So here, in order to turn on a form, you just click the slider. Turn it on, turn it off. So I want to have that form on, so I'm going to leave it on. This column here, Activate Zapier webhooks. This functionality allows you to integrate the data from the forms into other software to create automations. And we're going to talk a little bit about that further on in the webinar. So I'm going to leave that as is. I'm going to scroll down to the next section. Here's the new policy options. New policy forms are otherwise known as intake forms, and our users use them with new clients, with existing clients to get information about new risks. You know, if a client's purchasing a new home or if they're purchasing a car, want to add auto insurance to their portfolio, we have a form for that. If they're starting a business, if they're buying a watercraft, the new policies forms will be the ones that are used. So again, same functionality. Click the slider on and off. Okay, moving on, the third section of forms is service policy options. So these forms are used to service accounts. And you can see the different titles here: agent, broker of record form. There's a customer feedback form. There's a mortgage closing insurance verification request form, legal entity form, so on and so forth. So you select the forms there that you would like to have on your profile. And then all the way at the bottom, once you've selected all the forms, hit Save Profile. Now that your profile is saved, you can view the profile. And this is what the public profile looks like. And what our users do, and what we train our users to do, is to send their clients and others directly to the form that they're going to be filling out. So if I or a user was sending a client to an annual personal risk evaluation, they would send them right to this screen, and this is the experience that the client would see. And there's the form. Client fills out the form, and they can hit, are you ready to submit this form? Yes, and then they hit the submit button. Another feature that our users love is the save and continue button. So with this button, you can actually pre-fill any of our forms, save it, and then send the saved form to the client. So this is a premium feature, and one that saves a lot of time and also provides a great customer experience for the person filling out the form. So let's go back to the dashboard and show you a couple other quick things. Another place that our users go to access the forms is the forms page. Here, all the forms that were just selected on the profile will show up, and our users can select the copy button to copy the link to that form and then paste it into an email to send to a client. They can also hover on the hyperlinks here on the name of the form. And if they click that name of the form, it'll bring them right to that form. So they can view the form and the questions within it to make sure it's the right form for the situation. Okay. The responses section is where our users go to view the responses. Now keep in mind that every response is automatically emailed to the user as soon as the client fills out the form. So client fills out the form, they hit the submit button, an email notification with all that data is then sent directly to the user. So they have it in their email ready to go, and it makes it a lot faster for them to do. But at the same time, that data is then stored in that user's RiskRevu account. So they can go to their account, they can look for the particular form they're looking for, they can hit the view button, and then they can view all the data for that submission from the response section. Okay, and then we'll go back to the dashboard. The last thing I'll show you here on the dashboard, these buttons here, it shows you the plan that you're on. It also shows you how many responses you've received that month. The group dashboard is the last screen within the user experience, and this screen is only available to the account administrator. Okay, so this is usually a manager of some sort that is going to be responsible for administrating this account. So here they can see some basic statistics for the account, how many responses the firm received that month, how many they have remaining if they're on our agency or individual plan. It's unlimited responses for our enterprise plan, total responses since registration, and how many seats they have filled in their plan. So here you can see they can also add a member. They can also view each one of their sub-agents' responses. And they can view their sub-agents' profiles by clicking this link right here. Okay, so that is that. Now, what I wanted to talk about today was how our forms are really helping agents or can help agents give more accurate replacement cost estimates to their clients, and when they can give them more accurate replacement costs. Right before this call, I was on a call with a client, and we talked about the replacement cost. Why does the replacement cost differ from the market value? Why is my replacement cost going up every year? You know, how do we manage this? And so these are the questions that we as agents get all the time, all day long from our clients. It's a big issue. And so it takes a lot of our time to deal with them. So what we decided was there's got to be a way to make some of these aspects of this conversation more efficient and provide a way for our agents and for our clients to be involved in the process and to give us information that they might not, that the agent might not have. So this is the typical situation that that is used to determine a replacement cost, right? So you use a replacement cost estimator, and you take the public data that estimator draws in, and you just go with it. And maybe that's accurate, maybe it's not. Maybe the roof was updated last year, and that system doesn't have that data in it. So there could be some inaccuracies in that method. Another method is you get the address of the home from the client, and you look at the house, you look at the fits, the finishes, and you say, you know what, that's very similar to another house I insured, and so we're going to put $350 per square foot on it, and just kind of estimate it, because at the end of it, you know that potentially the insurance company is going to do an on-site inspection, so you just want to get close enough. So it's a guesstimate, and does not it's not built on actual data and actual factual data. It's based on your experience, and so what we want to do, what we thought was, we want to give the client an easy way for them to give us accurate information, so that we can make this this process of estimating the replacement cost as scientific and as data-driven and as accurate as possible. So let's jump right to the form, and I'm going to go to the Forms button to do that. And this we housed under our evaluation forms, and this is called the Residential Replacement Cost Evaluation. So I'm going to click on the hyperlink to bring us right to this form. Okay, so now just by the fact that we've created a form now that is able to be used by our users, this form can be filled out by the agent who fills it out with the client. It can be filled out by the actual client on their own time. So just like any of our forms, and the whole philosophy of having the insured fill out a form so that the agent can do their job and get them the quote or get them the result that they're looking for, having this in a form like this, in this format, gives the client the ability to do it on their own time, when they're relaxed, when they have all the information they need at their fingertips, and they'll enjoy doing it. You don't have to set up a conference call, you don't have to coordinate schedules and so on. You just send them a link and the client can fill it out when they want. So let's take a look at this. So client puts in their first name, their last name, their email address, the address that they are looking to evaluate, and then it jumps into some of these questions. Has the home been renovated? What features of the home have been renovated? The electrical, the plumbing, the heating, the roof. A lot of our insurance companies will discount the policies if they know that the home has been recently renovated. So it's 2020, if the home was renovated in 2016, there could be a tiered discount that the client is missing out on. So this form will help pick that up. Is the home on the National Historic Register? This is important because some carriers don't want to insure those homes or are not the appropriate carrier for that risk. What's the square footage of the home's living area? This is important because sometimes clients will do a renovation, they'll add square footage. The public data may not always be accurate. We want to have that insight from the client so that we know that we're getting the right square footage. Because if you look at Zillow or some of these other websites out there, they might have square footage on their website that includes the basement, and we don't want to do that. We want to have that carved out. What was the year the home was built? Please select the other areas of this home. So attached garage, basement, crawl space, deck, porch. You see the conditional logic that's built in there too. So this enables the client to only answer questions that are relevant to them, because if they don't have a basement because it's a slab, then they don't need to fill it out. If they don't have a deck, they don't have a porch, they don't need to fill that out either. Here's the garage. How many bays? 3 cars. What's the square footage of the garage? And then it gives them a text box where they can say, any other features of the home that they want us to be aware of, media room, wine cellar, so on. There's some structure detail questions. What's the architectural style, i.e. colonial? What is the primary material? Is it wood frame, masonry, brick? Select the option for the construction quality. Is it basic? Is it upgraded? And there's a drop down there for them to use for that. What's the primary exterior material? So on and so forth. So it allows the client to go through this process and be engaged and have an understanding, start to learn, what goes into building a replacement cost. And this can also help with explaining what the market value is. Explaining the difference between market value and replacement cost. So then there's some additional information they can put in: number of bedrooms, bathrooms, what's the type of heat, what's the type of fuel type, are there fireplaces, what's the roof configuration, what's the foundation type, so on and so forth, how many stories. And then once they get past the information about the primary home, are there any other structures? If there are other structures, it'll ask them about those other structures. And there's an opportunity to put up to 2 other structures in this form right now. And we will be adding functionality to allow for additional other structures as we go forward. And then the client can upload pictures of their home, and they can put any additional comments in there. So basically, this form allows an agency to conduct a virtual inspection of their client's home. By giving the form to the client fills it out, they can upload pictures and stuff like that. And then the agent gets the information back. The agent can then enter this information into their cost estimating tools and give the client a report that shows a much more accurate assessment of that home. And potentially use that to either A, make them better protected, or B, save them money on their insurance. Okay, so that is one form that we're really excited to have out there. And you know, one other use case of this form is recently I had a conversation with a client about replacement cost versus market value, but I also had an indication from the carrier that they thought the home might be over-insured. And so that was an opportunity for me to then send an email to the client saying, I think your home might be over-insured. If you fill out this quick form and give us some additional data, that will really help me determine whether or not this is a worthwhile conversation to pursue. So they did, they filled it out, I got the information back, and we ended up saving them some money on their insurance. So very helpful, very streamlined. And for existing clients, you can pre-fill the information you know. So you can put the name in, the address, and other information that you may know already to help save the client time in filling this form out. Okay? So that is that. One other thing I wanted to mention, as far as automation, because I like to think about where these forms can be placed in the consumer and the client experience. And this particular form, I thought would be a good place to put into the renewal process. And so if you have a defined automated renewal process, one of the steps could be an email to the client, say 30 days ahead of renewal, because you know that the replacement cost is going to go up. And you know that the client is going to question that and say, why is my replacement cost going up? So as part of that process, you can say as a standard message, here's your email, you know, your renewal is coming up in 30 days. The replacement cost, we do expect it to go up by a certain percentage. And here's the typical reasons why. If you'd like to conduct a virtual inspection of your home, please click the link below and fill out the form. This will help us make sure that we continue to be well insured and properly insured on your home dwelling value. So just an idea there I wanted to share. Okay, so let's go back to the forms page, and I want to show you one other form before we jump into questions related to replacement costs. So we'll go back to the forms, and now we're going to go to our service forms. And here we have a brand new form that we just launched, and it is called Home. Let's see, it's not there, so I'm going to add it. Okay, so I'm going to edit profile, and I'm going to go to service, and I'm going to go to Home Replacement Cost Appraisal Analysis Form. I'm going to turn that on, and I'm going to hit the Save Profile. Okay, so now let's go back to the Forms page, and let's go back, and here it is. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. Now this form is really targeted towards those clients that you have with high net worth carriers. Chubb, AIG Private Client Group, Pure Insurance, Cincinnati, Berkeley One, Nationwide Private Client, and so on. Okay, so here, the process is you sell a homeowner's policy, but don't do an appraisal before, right? We do an estimate of what the home value is. So we base our proposal based on our estimate, but then the insurance company does their appraisal afterwards. And sometimes there's a delta between the two, a delta in the replacement cost estimate and potentially a delta in the premium. And there's also sometimes critical requirements that the insurance companies are requiring us to do. And that process involves a lot of work afterwards. So we get the appraisal in as the agent, and we say, okay, we now have appraisal, we got to explain a potential cost increase, and we got to explain the critical requirements. But we also have to deliver the information to the client. So with this form, and take a step back, and in that whole thought process and that transaction, there's some math that needs to be done, there's some subtraction, and you know, how much did the premium go up? That can be tedious. And so this form tries to put a systematic process in place to help agents make that process much more streamlined. So here's what it looks like. You put the name of the insured in, first name, last name, email address, which home was appraised, what was the year the house was built, what is the name of the insurance company that did the appraisal. And then we do pre-appraisal information. So this was the estimate that the agent came up with and did the proposal based on. The original replacement cost estimate, put that in there. So so let's say it's 550, right? The original square footage, say it's 2,500. So you see it does the calculation for you. And then you enter the proposed annual premium. So this is what you proposed. So say the annual proposed premium was 1,800. Now we go to post-appraisal. I say, okay, we got the appraisal in. The post-appraisal number was 750. And the total square footage was 2,600. Okay, so there is a difference. You can see the cost per square foot. Now you enter the annual premium with the appraisal impact. So there was an increase in the value and an increase in the premium as well. So let's just say 2,000. Okay, so then there's the replacement cost analysis. What impact did the appraisal have on the premium? It increased the premium. So then it tells you the premium increase due to the appraisal is $200. What date will the changes mentioned in the appraisal be processed? So then you choose the date. They'll be processed on the 23rd. Are there any critical requirements from the appraisal that must be complied with? Yes. And then you select the critical requirements. Install a central alarm for fire, burglar, and a water shutoff valve. And then if there's any other, a separate field will show up for you to enter those in. What date do the critical requirements need to be done by? 5:30, okay? So then you put all that information in. It's basically you have the appraisal up, you have the proposal up, and you just enter the data. Now you say, okay, I want to set up some automations. And this section will help you set up certain automations, and they have to be set up with Zapier, which is the company that we integrate with, and your CRM, if you have that. So these are just some options here where you can say, okay, you know, based on this information, I want to email this information directly to the client. So in your automation setup, you have a template email that will pull in the figures that I just put into the form into that email template and email it directly to the client once you hit submit. And so once you click that email to client, it'll bring up these other fields: client name, client email address. You put those in, and it'll go right to the client once you hit submit. As long as you have that set up. Email to the producer. Maybe you just want to email the producer and send them this information, so they have the analysis in their inbox, and then they can just call up the client and explain it to them to save some time. Maybe you want to email it. Maybe there's an administrator that's doing these analysis for the team, and they want to email it to the account manager. Same process, email to the carrier. Maybe you want to set up a critical requirements reminder to the client that says, you know, your critical requirements are due by, you know, May 30th. Please make sure you have evidence of them to your agent by that date, that kind of thing. Or you can just say, I want to add this data to a spreadsheet if you want to track this type of information and see if there's any trends over time. So those are just some ideas for how to use this information and how to make some automations with it. And then once you're done, you hit the "Are you ready to submit?" and hit the submit button. Once you hit submit, those automations, once they're set up, will be triggered. Okay? So just another form that we have in our library that our users can use and to help make some of their processes more efficient and potentially have some data-driven analytics behind them. All right, so now that we've gone through all that, talked about the replacement cost forms, I'd like to open it up to some questions to the group, to anybody who has a question about the platform or about the forms that I can help with. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then open it up for questions. And I do have a question that was emailed to me prior to the call. So the question was, how do you hedge against higher costs of materials and or labor? Example, if I purchased a square of shingles at $68 per bundle when I was doing an addition, and then they went up $300 to $312 per bundle during the three-month span, along with other materials. So, I mean, it's an interesting question. You know, if I was to put my advisor hat on, you know, and I was to get that question from a client, I would kind of start with, the replacement cost of a home is constantly changing. Material costs are constantly changing. It's a difficult thing to predict what they will be in 6 months or what they'll be in a year. And that's why insurance companies have policy features like guaranteed replacement cost and extended replacement cost and things of that nature. So the way I hedge as an agent, not with RiskRevu, because RiskRevu I don't think really has a way to do that. But as an agent, just putting that hat on, I would say there are features within most policies that allow for that hedging to happen. The extended replacement cost, the inflation guard, the guaranteed replacement cost, so that the insured doesn't typically have to worry about that hedging. The thing that they need to be concerned about, which is what I'm trying to accomplish with the RiskRevu forms and that replacement cost evaluation form specifically, is the ongoing inflationary increases to the replacement cost that maybe over 10 years can get out of whack, and maybe even 8 years depending on the location. New York City, the rate of increase for building costs in New York City goes up at a high clip. And so having these types of forms to help us get that updated information can really help us put some data and some analytics behind our conversations with these clients. So I hope that helps. Are there any other questions that I can answer for anybody? Here's a good question. Is the Zapier integration easy to set up? So in my estimation, it is moderately easy. It's easy to sign up for a Zapier account. The basic account costs $20 per month, and learning how to set up a Zap is relatively easy. So it's just a matter of doing it and getting into it. So I could set up a Zap probably in 30 minutes and have an automation created. You do have to have a subsequent system like a CRM, like a HubSpot or Salesforce to handle the delivery, or MailChimp to handle the delivery of those email notifications. But if you have all the systems in place, it should be relatively easy to set up. Good question. Thank you. Excellent. Well, before I sign off, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for joining the call today. With RiskRevu, we have 3 plans. There's an individual plan, $29 a month, and there's a 15-day free trial for all the plans. So if you just want to test it out and see how it works on your own and play around with some of the forms, feel free to just try it out for 15 days. There's the agency plan, which is for up to 10 users. It's $99 per month. And there is the enterprise plan, which is for up to 50 users and unlimited responses per month. And so those are the 3 plans. Every one of them has a 15-day free trial. If you'd like to try it out, please feel free. If you have any questions for me or would like to do a demo where I can answer your specific questions, feel free to contact us at info@riskrevu.com. That's info at riskrevu.com, RiskRevu. Thank you again for your time today. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.